You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This episode is 638. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
It's football season again, and Daniel Jones still sucks.
He brings the awesome. It's I Yield to No One.
You know, I normally don't start a show like this, but fucking Bengals.
Not good? Not good?
No, it was not good. Better than the Giants, but everybody expected them to lose, whereas everybody expected the Bengals to win. And no, it wasn't good.
Meanwhile, the running backs that the Giants and the Bengals let go had really good days this week. Barkley had 3 touchdowns on Friday, and then Joe Mixon had at least 150 yards on the ground today for the Texans in their victory. So,
Yeah,
your team needs to start paying for people.
Yeah, they should, right?
Is the quarterback back? I forget his name.
Yeah, Burrow. Yeah, he played. He didn't do hateful. He didn't do great, but he was, I don't know, 19 of 20-something for a couple hundred yards. He didn't play bad, but he didn't play great either.
All right, I'm using a different setup here, so I'm struggling a little bit here. But we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, gentlemen.
All right, what's that?
All right.
How awesome I am.
After 7 years, we finally got something back. And there's a lot of mixed reactions with it.
Yeah, something back.
Back?
You mean our message in the bottle finally came back?
No.
Oh.
After 7 long years, we finally got a new Linkin Park song. And with that, got 2 new bandmates. One left. Obviously, we know what happened to Chester. But the drummer decided not to return, feeling that he could not continue with the band without Chester there. So he left. And there's a lot of mixed reactions. The new singer, Emily Armstrong, there's some controversy around her real quick, but we're not going to get into that because I think that's stupid that people are calling her out for it. But with that being said, I know you both have heard the new song. So let's go to Yield first. Yield, what did you think about the Emptiness Machine?
I didn't listen to it.
Really? I thought you did.
No, I didn't listen to it.
I thought I saw a message saying you did. Alex, have you listened to the song yet?
No, I saw you guys chatting about the live stream earlier on Thursday, and I didn't get to look at it until later. So I caught some of the later songs, like when they were doing Paper Cut and other things. By the way, Paper Cut's still one of their best songs and the best song off that first album. But I did not hear their new song. I know that, obviously with the way that Chester passed, there was always going to be a lot of controversy around replacing him in the band. It's big shoes to fill. But when, you have that reaction when that room went crazy when they announced a new tour dates and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of support for the band. I think there's going to be a period where you got to get used to the new lead singer, where it's not Chester, so people have to make their peace with that because he's been gone for a while now. I think 2017 was when he passed, no, not 2017. Was it 2017? It was 2017.
It was 2017.
Yeah, and he basically, like, people have had time to kind of make peace with that, but now with him coming back, it's kind of like opening a new wound. So I think that there's going to be a little bit of a get to know you period there. I mean, that's not the right way to put it, but there's going to be some bumps along the way, and people are going to be okay with it. A lot of people aren't going to be okay with it. Like I said, it's probably going to be 50-50 at the very least, if not more, people less in favor of it. I mean, like you said, the drummer left the band because he didn't want to continue on without Chester. But I mean, still, there are a lot of people who support them and want to see them make new music and kind of move on even without him. So a tough decision to make, but who knows? Maybe they'll do really well. And you can't My thing was always, and I said this to you guys, is I would want Mike just to take over. Just have Mike take over and just keep the band intact, instead of bringing in somebody new. And I think it would have been just fine. Because honestly, Mike did more of the singing during the live stream than Emily Armstrong did. So,
Well, here's my take on it. Like Emily's not a bad singer at all.
the problem is not her singing ability; it's that she doesn't sound like she doesn't sound exactly like Chester. And
thank you for stepping on what I was gonna say. The problem.
I read your mind, Tricky. We thought the same.
Well, I've also said this in our text chat. The problem is that she's trying too hard to sound like Chester, especially with the screaming parts, and that's just not in her vocal range. The new song, "The Emptiness Machine," is a really good song. It's actually been stuck in my head for the last day. It's definitely within her vocal range. You know, if they focus on the new album and the new songs, and they stay within her vocal range, she'll be perfectly fine. But when she does songs from the past, like Paper Cut, Numb, in the end, it's just she's trying too hard to replicate him, and it sounds bad. It really sounds bad. So I think they'll be fine with new songs going forward, but I think moving forward, especially with their tour dates, because they only announced 6 dates, 2 dates in the United States, 4 dates across the pond. One's in Los Angeles, one's in New York. I was actually thinking about going to the one in New York when tickets opened up, but then watching that live stream, I was just like, I'm not paying to see that. Let her grow on me a little bit more. Dex in the chat says he thinks the song sounds good, and then he says it's really not replacing Chester; it's just moving forward? ? I think I don't know if it was you, Alex, or Matt in the text chat that said they would rather have just seen a new band form rather than move on with the Linkin Park name. The only reason I disagree with that is there's too much history with Linkin Park. Like we know who they are, and even if they move on with a new band and rename a band and whatnot, at some point during their concerts they're gonna do the old songs. So I'll just keep the name and move on.
Well, and my thing is that, you see so many bands break up because of, tension and egos and money and shit like that. So the fact that Linkin Park, after all these years, could still want to play together, it's nice to see that. It's nice to see bands stick together, especially through such tragedy. But really, in the end, it's up to them in deciding, how do we honor this person's legacy? So I think fans can still appreciate and respect and love what Chester brought to the band while still enjoying the new music. It's not, you don't have to do one or the other. But I do think, too tricky. Really, they just need to find their sound with Emily at the helm. Like I said, you're not going to be able to be Chester, so don't try to be him. Don't try to sing like him. Sing like you do, and just kind of, there's things they can do. Like I said, Mike Shinoda can be heavy in those songs. He can do most of the singing, and that could help because he is a voice on those old songs. So, but her trying to be Chester, like, you can't do that. You're not going to be him. It's not anything against her. No one can do that. So just don't try.
Well, there was a singer out there, I don't remember her name, that they were hoping was going to replace Chester. And I guess the band just decided for whatever reason not to move on further. Yield, me and Alex have been giving our opinions. What are your opinions on Linkin Park moving forward?
Well, I'm one of the ones that said that that I'd have been okay with them just creating a new band. Because to your point of they're going to play their old stuff, when Ray picked out their singer, they got with Chris Cornell, made Audio Slave, and Chris Cornell had to sing Rage songs, and Rage had to play Soundgarden songs. So, yes, they're going to play those songs if they'd have rebranded themselves under a new name, but I think you would have gotten maybe more forgiveness if you'd have come out and been like, 2/3, half of Linkin Park, and this is what we are now, rather than we're Linkin Park. It's like bringing out Van Halen without Eddie and calling it Van Halen.
Well, they did.
Not without Eddie.
Oh, without Eddie. I'm sorry. I confused.
Without David Lee Roth.
Yeah, I confused. When you said Eddie, my brain went to David Lee Roth. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Good old Van Hagar.
And Hagar. I think that's a term that's gonna stay from Joe Dirt. It's always gonna be there. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like I said, she's just got to stay in her vocal range. She, or at least find a way to sing the Chester parts in the old songs where she's not trying to scream. And I think that would be more accepting than anything else.
I will say even I liked Hybrid Theory, but then after that I got more annoyed that Chester was still screaming. Whereas I'm like, you can actually really sing. You don't need to do that.
True. He was a good singer.
He was. And that's why when I actually heard him sing a whole song and didn't go into his screaming, I was like, wow, why don't you do that more often?
Yeah. I just forgot my point that I was going to make, but
anyway.
All right, let's move on. Updated trophy count. 958 total trophies of 33,719 with 975 platinums. Alex?
I am pulling up the list right now. I am level 508, total trophy count of 10,048, and a platinum count of 176 in 175 games.
Yield?
Level 517. I believe I went up 2 this week. Trophy count of 10506. And a platinum count of 195. I got 2 this week.
All right, we'll get into that in a minute. Matt is still the same, level 220, total trophies of 1,311 with 0 plats. Sid is level 107, total trophies of 277 with 4 platinums. And Sid has been playing the same game that I've mostly been playing. If you watch it on the live stream, you can see it on his trophy card. That being said, let's get into what we are playing. Yield, we'll start with you, sir.
Where's it at? There it is. Gotta pull it up. I've been playing some Flat Out 4, Total Insanity, basically to the point to where I need to get the physical copy so I can get the platinum. Fired up some Styx, Master of Shadows, for a little bit and realized that I think I have to change my mentality of how I'm playing the game, because I play for a bit and then I die and then I get frustrated that I got to go back and kind of do it all again. So I just kind of, instead of I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to play it so that way I have the least amount of replays that I have to do to get the platinum, and that's messing me up in this game. And I just need to just play it, kill them all, let God sort them out, get through the game, and then go back and try to do the more minute things to get the platinum. Fired Adrift back up because I hadn't 100%ed it, and I figured what would happen is I totally forget where I'm at, so I probably need to start over. Played some Astro's Playroom to get the 5 trophies that they added, so I'm back to 100% in that. And I was a little disappointed in the fact that unless you had a guide, I don't think you were going to figure out these bots to how to unlock them. So I wish there was more in-game. Cool. And then my latest platinum was right before I came up to record, and that was Call of the Sea. And that's all I've been playing this week.
All right, Alex.
Yield, congratulations on joining me in the Call of the Sea. Tricky, get on it. Get started.
It's a really good game. My wife was like, we got done with the game, and she's like, that game was really weird. I'm like, yeah, but I really like it.
Yeah, it's one of those narrative gems that they have kind of set aside under, I think it's on PlayStation Plus. If you look under their narrative gems, browse that category. That's one of the games highlighted underneath there. And I would agree. As Yield said, we got a new season of Rocket League heading into the Haunted Hallows and the spooky season. So very much like a otherworldly monster of the week themed rockets pass. I would say this month, like going into the spooky woods and seeing what you could find, that kind of vibe. Been playing, dumping more and more of my time into Cult of the Lamb. I beat the game, and now I'm on to the DLC. The developers did something that was, you don't see this often, but for the DLC, they added new not new characters, but new forms for your followers, like the different animal forms when you're kind of customizing your characters. And they also added new tarot cards, which are your buffs when you're. And they changed the code so that you have to get the new ones in the DLC as well to get the platinum trophy. So most developers, the DLC is not tied to the platinum trophy. This one, they decided to change it and make it so that you had to get all the trophies in order, or you had to at least get all the stuff in the DLC too, in order to meet the requirements for the platinum trophy. Which I was kind of concerned at first because I did all the stuff that I could in the game, and I'm like, oh, where's my platinum trophy? These trophies glitched, and no, I found out that with the DLC, it changed everything. But I mean, overall, still loving the game. My big complaint about the DLC, it's not really about the trophies, because I'm going to get 100% anyway, so I'm going to get those trophies anyway. But the thing is that with the DLC, they basically double the size of the game by making you play the game all over again. So there are variations with like the bishops who are the bosses in the Crusades, but overall, aside from adding like the sin mechanic where you can build new buildings like a brewery or like a love tent and like a nursery and an egg hatchery and like a drum circle, all these things meant to build up sin, which you can then use to upgrade your church at your campsite. It's really just, again, fighting the same bosses over again with slight variations and like doing some of the same side quests again. And it's like, man, I've done this once before, and this is how you elongate the game. You couldn't put in new bosses or what like that. Even the mini bosses are like, it's like Beelzebub 2 or something like that. So that you're basically just fighting these bosses again. So that was one disappointment. They basically doubled the size of the game by making you replay the game. But overall, I mean, Cult of the Lamb is a fantastic game. It's one of my favorite indie games I've played in a long, long time. I'm currently at about 47 hours now. So the DLC does add sizably to the requirements for the platinum, but overall the game is a lot of fun. So, I think anyone out there who's thinking about it would still enjoy it. And I will say that one of the good things about the second run through of the game with the DLC, which is kind of like New Game Plus, you still have like your campsite that you built up with all the buildings and everything, and the kind of the society you've established and all the doctrines you've unlocked and everything. That's still there. So you're not having to start from square one. You're just going to the Crusades again and fighting the bosses again. So a little tedious, but the formula they built here with this game is pretty incredible, and I like it quite a bit. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
And for me, I've been playing 3 different games. Division 2 came out with their season finale story, which is setting up for the future, which got me excited. There's a lot of cool things coming for the Division 2. Been playing Star Wars Outlaws. Good game. I've seen some people saying that it's getting some hate. I don't see what the hate's about. I think it's a good game. Yield, I know you were getting it. Have you started it yet?
I have it. I was just going ahead. I was close to finishing a lot of these other games. And so I just wanted to get through these. So okay. I want to get through Police Simulator, Call of the Sea. Lawnmower Simulator is going to be like my Power Wash Simulator, where I'll play for maybe an hour and then be like, okay, now on to my other game. Like I said, Flat Out is on hold until I get the physical copy so I can get the platinum. So I will probably start Outlaws this week, if not maybe later tonight.
Remind me again why you need the physical copy for that platinum?
Because one of the last updates for Flat Out 4 apparently janked one of the trophies. But if you have the physical copy, your save file will still work with the physical copy. So you get the physical copy, you don't update the game, and then you can get the trophy that's borked.
Did you buy it used so you can return it back to GameStop?
No, I bought it off the PlayStation Store for like 99 cents.
No, I meant the physical copy.
Yes, I will buy it used, but I'm buying it, and then I will send it to Nitro so he can get the platinum. And then Nitro will probably send it back here so Riley and Homer can get the platinum because all four of us bought the game.
Dead for instead.
For like $1, we're like, well, we'll get our fun out of this. And then after we all bought it, we found out that one of the trophies was glitched in the game, and then further investigation found out we can still get it. We just have to buy the game, and you can get it used for $13. So all in all, I spent $14 on a game. I won't be upset on that.
Saber says it's an okay game. It's an understatement. I think he's referring to my comment about Outlaws.
Outlaws. I'm waiting until I play it to find out if I thoroughly love it. I don't think it's not going to blow me away like Jedi. I don't think.
I think you might want to wait just like a week to start playing it. Just because they have addressed some save state issues in it. Because one of the things that I've seen people complain about, and I've experienced it, and Matt's experienced it, is there's not a lot of checkpoints in the game. So, like, there's a challenge to beat 5 enemies when you only have 1 bar of health. I did that. And then I started playing, and like an hour later, I had died. And then I saw it pop up again. So somewhere in that hour, it didn't save, even though I moved on to another mission. So that really sucks.
But you guys said they fixed that.
They fixed the game-breaking bug of no progression. But the game is designed not to have a lot of checkpoints because it's supposed to be a stealth game. It's supposed to encourage you not to die. But if you die for some stupid random reason, like you fell off a cliff or something like that, that's where it gets annoying. So, but Julian Edelman, who's actually the game director on Outlaws, has moved over to Division 3, came out and addressed it and said that within the next 10 days, which was 2 days ago, so within the next 8 days, a patch will be out to fix that. It's not game-breaking in any way, shape, or form, but it is frustrating when you die and then you have to go back an hour in progress.
All right. Well, let me know when that patch comes through. I'll hold off then because I don't want to be annoyed by that.
And the other game I've been playing, which I'm calling Game of the Year right now, Astrobot. And I know that's a hot take.
It's not really a hot take. I mean, I saw the Metacritic the other day was 105 critical reviews, and it was 94 out of 100 on Metacritic. So it's like recommended must play.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, because it just came out shortly after Wukong, because a lot of people say Wukong is Game of the Year.
I mean, I have to say that Helldivers is probably going to have something to say about that. But I mean, all credit to Black Myth Wukong. It has sold over 18 million copies so far, so it is doing extremely well, especially for what is a more difficult game than a lot of people are used to these days.
Saber in the chat says no, it's not Wukong Black Myth, just haters. Saber, you might have to clarify that. Are you saying that Astrobot's not or Wukong's not Game of the Year? I'm not quite sure what you're saying there.
I think he's saying that Wukong is Game of the Year. It's just people are hating on it.
Well, he says without Sweet Baby Inc. DEI. Does anybody know what DEI stands for? Because I come from NASCAR.
Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
That's what I got it. But I don't know what DEI actually stands for. Dex says Game of the Year should have been Concord.
Well, now you're just trolling.
He said he really liked it.
I'm not disagreeing. I liked it, but I seriously doubt that that's the Game of the Year.
DEI apparently stands for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion.
Yeah, I wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Can we stop attributing Black Myth Wukong's success to the lack of Sweet Baby Inc. /DEI? How about it's just a really good game and knock off all that nonsense about go broke or go woke, go broke.
And that it looked absolutely amazing in alpha, and so therefore it had a lot of buzz behind it.
I think a lot of people are saying Concord but Wukong didn't have that, but they're saying that what you were saying that go woke, go broke.
People attribute. That's the thing. They're like they use that kind of stuff in Sweet Baby Inc. as like, oh, well, they didn't have any involvement for this game, so that's why that proves that it's successful. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, just like get off that. Give respect to developers. They made a really good game. Like, just get off that whole bullshit about Sweet Baby Inc. and all that. Who cares? I'm sure some games that they were involved in were really good. Someone used example of Tales of Kenzera was something they were involved in or something like that. And I will tell you, as someone who played Tales of Kenzera, it's a good game. I'm just tired of everyone, attributing to anything that they consider woke as bad, and anything that is not woke is automatically great. I'm sorry, it's stupid.
I think the problem is, and I don't want to get into a deep discussion about this. I think the problem is that people just want their games to be left alone. Inclusion is important, but it's not everything. And I think a lot of people feel like it's going to the extreme instead of just including people. Now it's like a forced inclusion. I think that's the problem. Well,
you also have people who believe that anything that are terrified of anything that is not straight, white, or male. There are those people out there.
All right, let's move on because I don't want to get into a discussion with this. Let's get back to Astrobot. Astrobot is a fantastic game. I cannot sing the praises of this game highly enough. Alex, I sent you a couple pictures of some of the bots that I thought you would like.
You mean like the PlayStation bots?
Yeah, one was Crash, and the other one was I don't know if it was a dog or a wolf. I forget what game it's from. That game you really liked.
Oh, Okami.
Okami.
It's a wolf.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
What makes it so good, Tricky?
Say again?
What makes it so good?
See, I've been thinking about this all week as I've been playing the game. I don't know how to answer that because I feel like what to tell you that it's good would include spoiling stuff.
No, we don't want you to do that.
Well, I mean, you could say like the gameplay is a lot of fun. Like the environments are very diverse. The references are on point.
The gameplay is diverse. Every mission you go into, you get some kind of special weapon, which is the same as like Playroom. But the difference between this and Playroom is Playroom, I think, was more designed to force you to use.
It was a tech demo.
It was a tech demo, but I think
a very, very good tech demo.
But I think those missions were designed to force you to use mechanics in the DualSense, where this one is you're using those same functions.
But we're not trying to highlight what the DualSense can do.
Correct. And there's like anywhere from 7 bots in every mission. Normally, there's 2 or 3 PlayStation characters in each mission. There's I think there's 350 bots in the game total.
That you have to find?
Yes. And there are hidden missions, there's secret missions. And also what I like is that you guys remember in Playroom how you went into like the vending machine and you opened up something, and in Playroom it would give you like a piece.
It was the crane with like the little bubbles, the little plastic bubbles that had something inside, and you paid money and you pulled the lever and it pulled something out for you and gave you a prize.
Right. Well, in that game, in Playroom, it was like a piece of PlayStation nostalgia. This game is, as you unlock the PlayStation characters, you get something that enhances that bot on the field. So, just as an example, like, you unlock Solid Snake.
Spoilers.
Well, everybody knew that one already. That's why
I didn't. I knew Crash was in there.
Okay, you get Crash, but in the bubble machine, you get the mask that's always around him.
Aku.
Yeah. So everything is related to another. Everything in the machine is related to something with the PlayStation character, and that's really cool because you interact with them.
So I guess I want to say that I was excited for this game because I knew that there'd be a lot of PlayStation references. You saw that in Playroom, where they made a lot of nods to not just their PlayStation's history, but to to some of the games. I was also excited for this game. We were talking about this before we started recording. The listeners on the Twitch got to hear it. That I was excited for it because Playroom showed you what the DualSense can do. Right? Rolling the ball around and actually feeling like there was a ball in your controller that was rolling around however you did it, blowing across it to make a pinwheel move. All of that was super cool, and it felt real. So I was like, well, I know this game, we're going to get this out of the DualSense. So I was excited just for that.
Yeah. And I'm trying to form my thought here. It's cool, the interactions that you have. Like this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler of anything significant. You open up different areas within the game hub of where like all the PlayStation characters and all the other bots are hanging out. It's cool because you go to certain sections and it's like you call over, like you hit triangle and you call over like 10 bots, and they get together and they form a puzzle, or they build a ramp, or they build a rope or something like that, and it's different characters every time. It's pretty cool. To fully understand what I'm saying is you have to play the game, but I would highly recommend you spending the money and playing this game. It's that good. And me and Yield had like a semi discussion. I wouldn't say like we really went into it, where I think Astro could actually become the new PlayStation mascot.
Isn't he already?
I'm not opposed to that, but like we were saying before we officially recorded, for me to be your marquee mascot, you have to be more. How do I word it? You need to be out there more, not once every 6 years or 10 years. Here's my game. And I'm not saying you need to Assassin's Creed it, but like once every 3 years, you need to have a game. Otherwise, I mean, you can be as strong as you want, but I mean, really, until Playroom, no one really knew of Astrobot unless you had a VR. I mean, I knew of the name because I would see it in the store and it looked cool, but I didn't have a VR. So while I'm not opposed to it, you just need to be out there more.
I will say, and I'm going to say this without spoiling anything, if they do what they did after you beat a boss, this could be really marketable. I know that doesn't really make sense.
You have to be there to experience it.
What do all the bosses turn into plushes after you beat them?
No, but hold on a second.
I mean, y'all remember when they tried to make Sackboy the new mascot, right? And that didn't necessarily work out all that much.
Yeah, but see, Sackboy never did what this game does after you beat one of the bosses level. Once you like anybody that's played the game or anybody that will play the game, you'll understand what I'm saying. But I could see, and I know this would totally be a ripoff of like Nintendo, but I could see like Astrobot Tennis, Astrobot Golf, and using the PlayStation characters as the bots. I could see that moving forward.
Astrobot Racing?
Yeah. A new Mod Nation Racers, but with Astrobot.
Yeah, but with actual characters and not like brand new no-name characters that they try to use for Mod Nation.
Right. So I could see that type of future with Astrobot. So, all right. Let's get into our topics. I got so many tabs open. Alex is walking away. I guess to turn the lights on, which is good. Just gonna stall a little bit until he gets back to the computer. Yield. I know you can see Alex's camera. What would you say that purple thing is?
I can now. Looks kind of like an inflatable.
Okay. So Alex informed me that was a cat tunnel. But
Okay.
But it's a unicorn.
No. No. I'm not buying. I'll buy the first one. I'm not buying the second one.
Well, as soon as Alex puts his headphones on, I'll have him explain it to you as I
I'm not calling either one of you a liar. I'm just not buying it.
All right, Alex, I have to step away for a second. So I told Yield about your purple cat tunnel. He's not buying that it's a unicorn.
Hold on. Let me.
No. Don't explain it to him the same way you explained it to me.
I mean, it's upside down right now. So the part that's at the top is the mouth, and then you have the nostrils, the eyes, and right above the eye is a horn. Hold on.
Oh, so is that how it's supposed to be? Okay.
Well, I have it up like that because it's a cat crinkle tunnel. So if it's down on the ground like it's normally supposed to be, the cats will climb through it and make a whole bunch of noise, and then someone has to edit that out.
Well,
hold on.
Okay. Well, I know what you're saying. I knew it's supposed to be laying down, but like the way it's sitting, what's supposed to be the horn, I think, is its nose. That's why I said I'm not buying it.
Yeah, let me show. Hold on.
All right.
We'll dispel all the controversy here.
Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
Still like unicorn to me.
Well, it looks more like a unicorn that way than it did the way he's putting it back against the wall. I was like, that's a nose. That's not a horn.
That's what I said. He goes, "Oh, you looking at it upside down."
Yeah. It's I put it up. Well, I had to. You're going to edit that out anyway with the crinkle, all the crinkling. But I put it up like that so the cats can't roam through it while I'm recording and make a whole bunch of noise.
All right, let's move over to our first story. I just had to stall some time. Coming from Gaming Bible, written by Aghard Redden, PlayStation gamers surprised with over 1,000 free classic games coming this September. The headline's a little misleading. Yeah,
because you're probably not going to be interested in most of these games.
Well, it's the free part that's the misleading part. Abstream Arcade, a retro gaming service, will be heading to PlayStation 4 and 5, bringing with it over 1,300 retro games. PlayStation users will be able to access the library for either a yearly sub or a one-time fee. The yearly sub fee will cost $40, whereas the one-time fee is $100. It should be noted that this is a streaming service that began to be available on September 6th after a year of being on on Xbox first and being available on mobile and PC. So, does anybody know what Abstream Arcade is?
It is after I was talking with, who was I talking with? Was it Curtis? Anyway, I was talking with a couple of guys from the group, in the Facebook group. And when I think you posted it originally.
I did.
And so I was like, well, I mean, it sounds intriguing, but I was like, but what's the games list? I mean, I'm all for, old school games, but what's the game list? And one of them, I can't remember who, and I'm not going to go back through stall while I look through Facebook, but someone posted the link and I scrolled through it, and why I think the $100 one-time fee is not, I don't know why, but I don't feel like it's overly bad.
It's reasonable.
But all the games that they had listed, I would say like probably 95% of them I've never heard of or could care less about. So I was kind of like, well, that won't be me. But I'm like, I'm not trashing it yet. I think it's a step in the right direction because, you can play you can play some Atari games and some games where you've never been able to experience before.
Alex, your thoughts before I get do a little bit more of a deep dive into this?
Well, I saw that you can play some Super Nintendo games on the service, which is, I mean, playing Super Nintendo games on a PlayStation is really cool. I mean, yes, I know that the Mega Man X games came to the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, which you can play on the PS5 on the PlayStation, but you get what I'm saying. Playing on Nintendo games on a PlayStation 5 is pretty cool. But also, like, a lot of these games are, we all like to talk about, going back and playing old games and, like, backwards compatibility. But sometimes going back and playing retro games is hard because it's just, they're not as fun to play anymore. They haven't aged well for whatever reason. And a lot of these games are from the Commodore 64 or that era. And no, thank you. I would, even if the service was like a free download and a channel on the PlayStation 5, I probably still wouldn't play it because most of the consoles that are represented on this service, I'm not a fan of. I don't really want to go back and play those games. And they talk about how they cycle games in and out, not like a crazy amount, but you'll get games leave the service and other games come in, but just the console list they had, just the representation for each one of those, just the amount that was from an older era that I don't need to go back to, it's kind of crazy. It's the bulk of the service.
Okay, I have to make a correction because apparently, because Matt did the Cliff Notes. Thank you, Matt. He actually, it's a typo. It's not Abstream Arcade. It's Antstream Arcade.
Yeah, Antstream.
Oh, yeah, I said Abstream because that's what Matt put on there.
I like that you're like you double down on that. That's what Matt put on there. It's Matt's fault.
No, because I was looking up the trophies because I heard the problem with this, and if there's a problem, so to speak, is that excuse me, the games are, as Yield said, they're pretty obscure. Like, there's 176 games from the Amiga, which is, Jeff Hanna's favorite console of all time. But there's not a lot of trophies with the game. I think in total, I'm trying to count right here. I think there's like 20 trophies total. And they're not for the individual game. So if you're going into this thinking like you're gonna get a platinum for every single game, that's not the way this is. It's a streaming service. Some of these trophies are like play 1 game session, play 100 game sessions, play 250 game sessions, play 500 game sessions, play 1,000 times, earn 1 bronze medal, earn 100 silver, 150 gold. Nobody as of this point has the platinum on it. And I mean, some of these trophies, like, nobody's unlocked to play 250 times session yet, which I would assume is just, turn off on the game 250 times. Nobody's done that. So some of these games, you'll have to go on to antstream.com and just look at the games. I mean, they have games from every basically every console out there that's not like restricted right now. Like, you're not going to get PS4 games, PS5 games, PS3 games, but there's 8 games from the Game Boy, 6 games from the Linux, 48 games from the Genesis, 34 games from the NES, and they have them listed on here. And there's 2 games added each week, 49 games for the SNES, and I think the PlayStation 2. I think there was only like 2 games.
One or two, yeah. Both of those games were like, I don't even think I've heard of them.
Right. So I mean, the $100 is not astronomical to ask people to pay for that. The $40 a month might be, or 40. It's $40 a year. So it's if you're gonna
$40 a year is not bad. If you just want to try it.
Right, but
you pay $40
long term.
Yeah, if you're gonna pay it long term, then you pay $100.
Yeah, you just pay the $100 and be done with it. But I know some people were thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be able to get a platinum in Super Mario Brothers. No, that's not the way this is gonna work.
Yeah, and I honestly didn't even think that. I just figured that they would have like you said, an all-encompassing trophy list.
Right. But yeah. So if you guys are looking for retro games, there you go. Saber, I'm not sure if this is related to Antstream or to another thing, but he says it's a platform or done right with lore and pop culture. I think he's meaning Astrobot, but I'm not exactly sure. Moving on to our next story. Gentlemen, we have to talk a little Xbox here real quick. Coming from Games Radar, written by Anna Kosalecki.
Kosecki.
Okay, we'll go with that.
At least that's how I would say it, and I'm not good at English, so.
Hooked on Phonics didn't work for you?
No, and neither did the short bus.
But, I just dated myself there. I passed on so many games, says Phil Spencer. Says he's made some of the worst decisions when it comes to Xbox exclusives, like not signing Destiny or Guitar Hero. If Microsoft's gaming lead Phil Spencer pulled the trigger, Destiny and Guitar Hero might have been Xbox exclusives. In a recent PAX West panel, Spencer revealed he chose not to go in with Bungie's Destiny as an exclusive, but admits it's an interesting journey seeing what Bungie has built. Spencer explained that the online shooter didn't really click with him, as he claims he was not a big PvP player. He also admits Guitar Hero got away from him as the concept of a toy guitar was too surreal. Quote, I'm not a regrets type person, but maybe that's a fault of mine. I pass on so many games, end quote. Instead of looking back with frustration, Spencer tries to, quote, look forward and be positive about the things we are doing, end quote. With smash hit games like Destiny, that just means celebrating studios such as Bungie and their monumental work. Quote, I just like to celebrate what the team has done. I mean, it's incredible, end quote.
So before we go any farther, I would just like to say Phil Spencer has been nominated for the comment of the century.
Well, I was going to go to you first, Yield, but...
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, we've sat here and said Xbox's biggest problem since the 360. Their biggest problem since the 360 was they had no games, and they've continually done that. Now they start to seem like they might be starting to build something and go towards that. We haven't seen the fruit of those labors yet. But still, they have no games. So coming out here and going, I may have done that. Duh!
Okay, so Alex, I'll let you go, but I just want to point out one thing. One, I think making Guitar Hero an Xbox exclusive would not have helped Xbox at all, because I think by the time Guitar Hero was really starting to get popular, Rock Band took over that scene.
Well, no, they'd kind of already shot themselves in the foot with what they were doing. What really killed Guitar Hero was when Harmonix split.
Right. That's what I'm saying. When Rock Band was a thing. So making Guitar Hero an exclusive, I don't think that would have helped. Destiny, as far as I understood, the only reason Destiny really exists is because Bungie took off from Xbox and couldn't take Halo with them, so they made the new game with Destiny. So I don't know why he's saying he would have made Destiny exclusive, because at that time, Bungie wasn't exclusive to Xbox anymore.
Maybe it was more of, I don't know. I would think he probably would have been better off keeping Bungie. I know when Bungie left, everybody was like, wait, why are you letting your best studio walk?
Why are you letting the Halo guys go?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, even I was saying that. I'm like, why are you doing that? That's your best studio.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like when you think back to the late 90s when everyone thought Nintendo was going to buy Rare, and they didn't. And eventually Microsoft did. But you think about the consoles, the NES, Super Nintendo, the N64, and how much of an impact Rare games had.
Yeah, with all of us.
And it's just kind of one of those things like, why did you not buy them? I mean, I know Nintendo is not in the habit of buying studios, but that's probably one they should have done.
No.
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah, some games I'm surprised. I know we come off as the Sony ponies, me more than anything else. But one of the criticisms has been with Xbox is that they don't have exclusives.
Yes.
I mean, that's changing. That's definitely changing.
It's
But I
changing
mean,
now, but
well, I mean, but they again, they are putting a lot of games on
Multi-platform.
multi-platform now because, as Spencer said, that's a strategy that worked for them. I mean, I didn't know about Hi-Fi Rush or Grounded before those games came to PlayStation. So to be fair, they may have had exclusives. They just may have been smaller games that we weren't paying attention to.
well, how long? And somebody can look this up, or maybe they know off the top of my head. How long has Phil Spencer actually been the head of Xbox? Has it been since the launch of the Xbox One?
I don't know. I know it's been a while because we keep mentioning his blunders.
Because I think he took over after the I think it was Don Matrix that made the comment that says when they were going to make the Xbox One an online console.
So I'm just looking this up, and this is from Wikipedia, so we'll see how accurate this is. But if anyone has anything to refute this, please let me know. But from the Wikipedia article, it says starting his career at Microsoft as an intern in 1988, Spencer had worked in various sectors within the company, including developing Microsoft's first CD-ROM-based titles. He joined the Xbox team in 2001.
Okay, and I just Googled real quick, when did Phil Spencer take over Xbox? And it says in 2014, following the launch of Xbox One, new Microsoft CEO named Spencer to a new role as head of Xbox. In 2017, Spencer joined Microsoft's senior leadership team. So he's been at the helm of Xbox for a decade now.
About twice as long as old Jimmy Ryan, and still going.
Why do you have to stir up Daryl? Why? You mentioned his name. He's gonna pop in this chat. I guarantee you now.
Why does it have to be against Daryl? I just made a comment. The latest,
because Daryl's the only one that likes Jimmy Ryan. He's literally the only person in all of our communities that likes Jimmy Ryan.
I'm just saying he was there had the head for about 5 years, and Spencer's been at his position for 10.
Oh my God.
I didn't say Spencer was more successful. I just said he'd been there longer.
You can't. It's like Beetlejuice. You can't say the name.
What? You can't say the name Jim Ryan?
By the way, I know
Jim Ryan.
I know you've seen it. How is the new Beetlejuice?
Yes, we went to see. Ashley and I went to see it at a matinee showing on Friday. It was nice because there's only like 20 people in that theater. But no, it was.
That's the total number of people that have seen that movie.
What's that?
I said that sounds like the total number of people that have seen that movie.
No, I'm sure. I mean, it's in the middle of the day on a Friday. People are at work. But no, I mean, Ashley went to go see it for her birthday, and like we both are fans of Beetlejuice. We saw the stage show earlier this year, and we've both seen the original movie. I liked it. We both liked it. I thought that Winona Ryder, Winona Ryder's great in her role again. She's always been great as Lydia. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. He was great as well. I mean, Jen Ortega is the daughter in the movie. She's always really good. She's good in Wednesday. She's kind of good at playing like the antisocial kind of like goth girl. Although I would hope she's not like pigeonholing herself into that kind of role, because I mean she can do a lot more. But I mean, the star of the show was Catherine O'Hara. She was fantastic. And for those of you who don't remember who Catherine O'Hara is, yes, she was from the first movie, but she's also the mom in Home Alone. So Catherine O'Hara was fantastic in Beetlejuice. But I mean, everyone that they brought in, the old characters they brought back who reprised the role, they were great. The new characters, they were good. Everyone kind of fit together pretty well. Just kind of your typical Beetlejuice goofiness. My two big complaints, they're not really big complaints. One, I wish they had been in the afterlife for longer. I wish there was more movie time in that area. And then second, and probably my biggest issue with the movie is that there's a story beat in the movie that they don't flesh out a lot, and there's not. If you took it out of the movie, it wouldn't really detract from it at all. So they kind of just add something in there that has really no point in being in there. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but I'll just say that there's the thing. My biggest complaint about the movie is that they introduce a story arc into the narrative that just isn't needed. You can just focus on the relationship of Lydia and her daughter and everything that happens with that, and the movie would just as fine. So. But overall, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I did enjoy Beetlejuice. I thought it was good.
Dex in the chat says reboot Viva Pinata.
That was one of those games I wanted to play on Xbox. Or no, Xbox 360. That's when it came out. Was the 360. Yeah, I saw that on 360 and I wanted to play that game.
I admit, I thought I thought at first it said Vita Pinata.
But well, no one wants to play the Vita. Getting back to
Hush your whore mouth.
I just said that to get under your crawl there, Tricky. And if, I'm sure Daryl will hear that too, and he'll somehow show up out of nowhere to defend the Vita. But no, I mean, in regards to Spencer, I can't blame him for passing on Harmonix and Guitar Hero because I don't think anyone knew how big that series was going to get. The first one was the first game was fun, but they had a lot of cover.
Hold on. Harmonix was Rock Band.
No, but didn't Harmonix originally made Guitar Hero?
They were apart, but they left and started Rock Band.
Okay, well, I can't necessarily, but they were okay. So I'm not wrong. They were there at the start.
They were there for the.
Was it Red Octane that had made the other ones, the later ones?
I'm looking up right now. I believe it's Red Octane. Yeah, Red Octane. But Harmonix left after the second game, I believe.
Okay, but they were still involved early on.
Yes.
But, which I'm assuming when it comes to exclusivity, I would have guessed that they would have gone to Microsoft and Phil Spencer when they were making the first game, and that's when he passed. Because if he would have passed on the second game or the third game, you'd be a complete moron. But when the game's first introduced and you don't have sales to go off of, I can't blame him for passing on exclusivity because one, it still came to the Xbox, but two, no one really knew how much that game was the popularity of that game. The first game was mostly cover songs, or pretty much all cover songs, and while they're still fun to play, you want to play the legit tracks, which we really didn't get until Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. That's when you really start having a flood of the original songs. Number 2 still had some covers in it as well, but when it comes to Guitar Hero, that series rose really quickly and died really quickly because after Guitar Hero 3, yeah, they made more games, but the popularity just dove after Guitar Hero 3, and it was never the same.
Well,
so,
I mean,
I can't blame him for passing out Guitar Hero.
Well, here's also a fact: he can make another Guitar Hero and it be exclusive. He
can, but people don't want that.
They now own Activision Blizzard.
People do not want Guitar Hero game after Guitar Hero game after Guitar Hero game. They want, like Rock Band did, they want to buy one game and then be sold songs that they can buy at their leisure, that they can buy the songs they want and add them to their library. They don't want to continue to buy, game after game.
Yeah, I like the Guitar Hero games.
No, they were a lot of fun. They were great party games too.
And they could. I think there's still a call for it because they was it PDP just came out with a new guitar for Rock Band 4, even though the game is not releasing any more songs, which could be an indication that they're either working on Rock Band 5 or what I think is really happening is that because Harmonix is now under Epic, that they're just going to keep making the songs for Fortnite Festival. So,
that's what it seems like they're doing.
Because the guitar works for both of them, the festival and Rock Band 4. So
yeah, they're starting to migrate that way.
And my only guess about his comments about Destiny in particular was that they had a chance to keep Bungie, and Bungie, for whatever reason, decided to go their own way, and Microsoft decided to go their own way. So that may have been something where there were meetings between Bungie and Microsoft, and Destiny hadn't been a thing yet. But I guess Phil Spencer's saying, if we had retained Bungie and kept them as part of Xbox, then we would have potentially gotten Bungie as an exclusive, or Destiny as an exclusive. That's what I kind of read that as saying.
I read the same thing, but I don't think Destiny would exist if Bungie had stayed with Xbox.
I think they want to make new things. I don't think they just want to make Halo for the rest of their lives.
Well, they may not have had a choice if they stayed under Xbox.
And maybe that's the reason why they left.
Because 343, everybody I've talked to, everybody says 343 has destroyed the Halo series.
There's been a lot of complaints.
Yes. And
there's been a lot of complaints about Gears of War as well, under the Coalition. They're the ones who do that.
Let's talk about another game that had a lot of complaints. This is coming from the PlayStation blog and written by Ryan Ellis. Dex, you might want to close your ears because I'm about to deliver the bad news that you don't want me to report on.
Wait, this isn't our topic of the week?
No. An important update on Concord. Concord has officially shut down, at least for now. The team admits while many qualities resonated with players, they recognized that the other aspects didn't land the way they intended. As of September 6th, which is 2 days ago as of this recording, the 5v5 shooter has shut down its server and issued refunds to players who purchased the game while they figure out their next steps. So let me be clear. If you bought the game digitally, you are going to get refunded automatically. If you bought a physical copy of the game, you are going to have to go back to the store, and the store will give you your refund, no questions asked. That being said,
I'd hold on to it. It'll be worth something someday.
Well, that being said, there are a lot of people selling the game on eBay, and I've seen price ranges of $400 for the game.
Oh, now see, now you're just price gouging. There's no way it's worth $400 just because it's shut down right now.
That being said, I will open up the floor to conversations. I want to start off by saying, because I never really go first with any of these topics. I think the only way Concord exists is if they relaunch it and it's free to play. If they charge money, if they come back out and they try to charge money, they're going to have the same problem. This has to go free to play.
Yeah, but then you get into the area where people complain about predatory microtransactions, or that's I mean,
you can't have your cake and eat it too. You're either going to have a free to play game with microtransactions, or you're going to have to pay $40 at the gate with no battle pass.
I get that, but I think that the clear thing here is that people didn't want to play this game. That's what it was. People did not want to play this game. Whether you have it for free with microtransactions or if you pay for it up front, I do not think, because they're going to have to find ways. I don't think it's just going to be them releasing skin packs or whatever, or cosmetics you can buy. Like, they may lock parts of the story behind, or do DLCs that you have to pay for to get some of the story. I think that people just didn't want to play this game, however you sold it to them. I mean, yes, people did use it as an argument that a lot of the games in that market are free to play that do the same things as Concord did. I understand why the Concord team is charging now, because they want to get away from the microtransactions, because there is a lot of stigma attached to microtransactions in games these days, especially with how some game developers have used them to, just squeeze the sponge and get as much money from us as they can. But I think this game just doesn't come back ever. It has Sony put a lot of money into this game. I mean, yes, this game was in development before Sony made the publishing deal and before they ever bought Firewalk, which was 2023 when they bought Firewalk. But they've poured, I guarantee, a lot of money into this deal. And for how this game has been received, it was in development for 8 years and didn't last even a month. It didn't last hardly not even 2 weeks, I don't think, before it got pulled. They were saying they were guaranteeing 3 seasons, and they pulled it after maybe a week and a half. And so this game has the stench of failure on it. And there's no way it comes back, because how long is it going to take you to retool this game to make it, you're going to have to pour way too much money. And people said, maybe they'll do like a single player campaign. You're going to pour way too much money into that. And Sony's not going to want to do that for a game that's already seen as a failure. What do you really release it again in like 6 months to a year when people have already moved on and they go, oh yeah, that's that Concord game that they've got pulled. That's that real failure there. No one's going to want to come back to that game. You're not going to be able to get people to buy in after Sony has canceled this game. It's not, I don't say canceled because that's not the best way to put it, given the culture we live in and how people use that term. But after they pulled this from the service, where they're refunding everybody and they're not going to be able to sell it anymore. Think about this. This game was made and they're going to recoup zero money on it. Unless people don't take refunds, they're going to recoup zero money on it. Just think about that. This game is an absolute failure. And I just don't see Sony putting any more money into this game. I would be shocked. I would be absolutely flabbergasted. I'm not hoping for this, but I'd be flabbergasted and in awe if Firewalk's not shut down completely.
All right. Yield, you were starting to talk, and then Alex went.
Sorry, I got real animated.
No, that's fine. I'm more disappointed for everybody who worked for Firehawk and who has worked on the game, because I think a lot of times that gets lost in it. I also feel that they probably got some bad direction from Sony. I mean, I know that the game was in development. I wasn't going to say that.
Wait, from who?
Jimmy Ryan.
So I just want to highlight here, Yield. We'll get back to you. I'm gonna let you finish, Yield.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kanye.
I opened the door.
So as we know, this game has apparently been in development for 8 years. Firewalk was previously owned by another company, which Sony bought. Sony bought Firewalk.
No. This is a brand new studio that Sony. They were not owned by anybody else. It was a brand new studio that Sony bought it before they were purchased by anybody.
They bought them from somebody though.
No.
Hold on, I'll look it up. But they announced the publishing deal in 2021, and they officially bought Firewalk in 2023, both under Jim Ryan's tenure, because Daryl was trying to blame this on Herman Hulst, and no, this was a Jimmy Ryan failure right here.
All right, you'll get back to your point. I'm sorry.
So, like I was saying, I was like, unfortunately, Firewalk's going to get the brunt of this, and I feel that when Sony was shifting all towards hey, we're going to do a bunch of multiplayer games, and we got this studio who's working on something that's going to do it. I think that they got why they may have been excited for the game before they did this full multiplayer push and then backed out of it. That leads me to believe that they got some really bad direction, and I would like to see what they can do when giving good direction, because until we all found out it was 5v5, all of us here were intrigued by it until they got to the end of the state of play and found out it was 5v5, and it's like, oh well, we're done. So I just want to put that out there, I guess, that it's
let me ask you guys this question.
Yeah,
it's pure speculation here. Do you think that Firewalk had the idea for Concord before and then pitched it to Sony, and then Sony said, okay, this sounds like a good idea, we're going to purchase your company or your studio? Or do you think PlayStation bought them and then made them make Concord?
The game's been in development for 8 years. When did Sony buy them?
2023, last year.
Okay, so the game was already in development long before then. So obviously, I would say part of the buying them when they put themselves up for sale was Sony knew that was coming.
So my follow-up question on that to you is, can it really be blamed on them getting bad direction? Because obviously the game has been in development for many years before Sony purchased them. Could Sony really be blamed for the bad direction?
I'm not saying Sony's 100% to blame, but once you fall under the Sony umbrella, Sony's doing all the check marks instead of just kind of, hey, let's see your game. Okay, yeah, you're good. So
they announced this publishing deal in 2021, which means that my guess is that Firewalk came to Sony, and the other company that was involved in this is called Probably Monsters. That was the company. Let me read this from the PlayStation blog. It was posted by Herman Hulst. This is from the article where they announced welcoming Firewalk Studios to the PlayStation Studios family. Quote, since announcing our publishing partnership with Probably Monsters and Firewalk in 2021. So there was another company involved with this. And let me see. I was looking for this quote in particular where somebody from, let's see, the Probably Monsters world-class operations team and infrastructure has allowed us to focus on doing both better, fostering a sustainable development culture where people come first and delivering great games. So again, Tricky, this was not just the company. Probably Monsters was also involved with this and Firewalk, and allowing Firewalk to get started in doing what they do. That was from a post written by Tony Sue, the studio head of Firewalk Studios. PlayStation Studio and Firewalk Studios announced publishing partnership for a new original multiplayer IP. So basically, my guess is, again, Firewalk had this idea. They brought the idea to Sony in order to foster a publishing partnership to help get this game made, to help fund it. And then based on what Sony saw of the project and its progression and their live service push under Jim Ryan, they probably decided to buy the game, buy Firewalk based on Concord in 2023. That is my guess of the timeline of events. Sony, they had the idea, brought it to Sony, and then as the project progressed, Sony bought in fully to Firewalk based on their need for live service games or their desire for live service games and what they saw out of Concord and that team.
Okay, there's. I don't want to get too deep into this, but all right, let's move on.
It's just unfortunate for those involved.
All right, so let me give some of our social media comments here because there was a little bit of a topic on this. First, Dex says, "Oh, Alex, the game was fun." That he said that originally when you first started. And then he says, Astrobot is taking the heat off of Concord anyway. I believe that as well. But Curtis, on our Facebook group, 3 days ago posted, catching up on the podcast, just wanted to chime in and say, I played Concord PlayStation Plus Beta, and the game didn't play good in my opinion. It felt sluggish and uninspired. Matt replied by saying, thank you for the input. We're looking for more listeners to see if the game was really that bad. And then Will left a comment saying it played great in my opinion. Alex, you made a comment, but you've already made your comments. And then Dex in the chat says, Concord played fantastic in its final release. It was snappy, and I was getting games quick. I think my longest queue time was 2 minutes. It played like a shooter, and the comparisons to Overwatch isn't valid in my opinion. But unfortunately, 5v5 hero-based shooters won't survive with the price tag, even if it was only $40, even though it was $60 for him. That's Australian dollars for him. It's a shame that opinions on the gameplay were formed in the beta. This is directed at a majority, not the OP. OP stands for original poster, if you didn't know. And not the final product. I got my refund. I feel like it will be back in free-to-play with format of two different in-game currencies and a battle pass. Surely Sony won't let this die. Just want to add, I was generally bummed when Sony made the call to pull it. Within 24 hours, I had already invested 5 hours of gameplay into it. And as for the quote-unquote woke aspect, all I saw was pronouns. That was the extent, and I also didn't dabble in the lore. And then Gareth said, finally, a thread that holds some value opinions based off gameplay and potential thought out. Legitimate reasons as to why it failed, as such as a price tag for the game, length of time in development, no USP in already saturated market, makes a nice change compared to the, quote, woke broke, end quote, brigade formulating unsubstantiated reasons. So that was comments from the chat on Concord.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, like, one of the comments was talking about the beta and forming opinions on that. I think people formed their opinions on this game as soon as they saw the trailer.
Yeah,
I don't think I think people knew whether they're going to buy that game or not after that trailer, and there was just so much of a rolling ball of just
disappointment.
It's just like that game became a meme as soon as people saw that trailer, and there was just so much force and so many people behind it. There was just kind of like a mob, and everyone was just kind of like making this game the butt of a joke, and it just kind of never, regardless of how well it played, and I never played it, so I can't comment on the gameplay. I can just comment on like the social commentary of it and like just what I saw. This game didn't stand a chance because there were just so many people seemingly against it and willing to just make fun of it and minimize it based on a trailer. So
Dex has a question in the chat. Says, if this was an 8v8, would it have survived like Call of Duty? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think the problem, like Alex just pointed out, the trailer was so good until they announced it was a 5v5 and people checked out. But I do believe people just to give it a chance just weren't impressed.
Critical reviews for this game aren't overwhelmingly great. I mean, they're pretty fair. I would say pretty mediocre. It's in the sixes and on Metacritic. Not terrible, but again, clearly you've got the user scores which are down in the basement because people are review bombing, or they have been. But the critical review scores, I mean, it's not like it's a shining example of, there's clearly issues with the game. To have the critics also kind of be like, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not like a must play.
I also want to point out, if you're going to play a beta to form an opinion on the game, that's not really fair because a lot of times betas are put out there and they are broken and they use the betas to fix the problems for the launch. So while it is a look into future gameplay, it's not really fair to gauge a game straight off the beta because those inherently are put out broken to find the bugs and the stuff to fix for the launch.
But also, how long before this game released was the beta out? Was it like a month or something? It was really close to the release.
I think it was like a month.
So the game wasn't going to change all that much in the beta that they released, right?
No, I mean, the graphics aren't going to change, but like if a gun wasn't working properly or they were falling through the map on this or whatever the case may be, that's the stuff they're going to fix. You're not going to fix the graphical designs of the characters. And I'm not defending Concord. I'm not saying like for any other reason. I'm just saying if your sole reason that you didn't buy Concord is because of what you played in the beta, that's not really fair of the final product. Because people I've talked to, okay, and I'm not calling people out here, you talk to Dex, who's played the final release, says he liked it, but then you got Curtis, who said, I played the beta, and it felt sluggish. Curtis also didn't play the final game, so not to discredit what Curtis is saying, but Curtis can't really speak on the final release because the beta, if it was sluggish and unresponsive, that could be something they fix for the final release. And Dex is saying he had no problems with the game at that point.
But also you do use a beta to get an opinion on whether or not, like if you're curious about a game and there's an open beta, I think most of us would be like, well, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to give this a whirl to see if I like it. I mean, I did that with Skull and Bones. You know, am I really going to stay behind this? Okay, I enjoyed it. I can see where some fun is. It needs a little polish. All right, I'll keep playing. But if you have an experience like Curtis did, where he thought it was slow and sluggish, he wasn't willing to give it any more time. He just it didn't attract him enough to be like, I want to spend my $40 on this.
I get that, but like I said, you know, the slow and sluggishness that Curtis was having, that may have been fixed in the final release.
Yes, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that it's like, to me anymore, you know, betas can be like demos, and if you get off on the wrong foot, that hurts you.
Well, Dex says in the chat, on the other end of the spectrum, you have the Black Ops 6 open beta is on, and it plays like the full release. Dex, I that point's valid, but I would say the difference is they put out so many Call of Duties that they know what the hell they're doing right now. This was Firewalk's first game, and there's going to be, you know, freshman mistakes.
Hiccups.
Well, I think that really a lot of the problem also with this game was it took them eight years. It took them way too long to get this game out.
Well, I agree.
Had they gotten to market before Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, that game came out, which you see a lot of comparisons. You know, that's one of the big comments is people looked at these characters and said, you know, knock off Guardians of the Galaxy characters, or if they had gotten to market before Overwatch 2, just really gotten to the market before, you know, 2024, a few years or so, while this kind of gameplay style was still hot, you might have seen different results. But 8 years is too long to develop a game. I mean, you look at The Last Guardian. I love Shadow of the Colossus. It's my favorite game of all time. Eco, I don't like the fact that it was a massive hand-holding expedition. I didn't like that it was basically one very large escort mission, but I could still get to the game and appreciate it for what it was. It took so long for The Last Guardian in development that I didn't even finish that game. I played for a few hours and stopped. And I love Team Eco stuff, and I just I couldn't. So I think that a long development cycle, even for Duke Nukem Forever. I mean, I think you'll like Duke Nukem Forever, but that game also took a lot of fucking heat, and I think
took too long.
You just can't have a game in development for that long, especially when the time, you know, a single player
studio,
huh?
Even for a freshman studio,
absolutely. Okay. So you can a single player story based game will be relevant forever. But a game like this that is based on multiplayer aspects and a specific type of gameplay,
you got to hit while the iron's hot.
You got a window, and they missed that window, and that's another big part of this. Is if this game was released 3 years earlier, it may
be a massive success.
So I got a question for you guys, and it's the same question. I've already given my opinion on this. Do you guys think this game comes back out? Honestly, do you think they
Yes.
re-release this?
I think Sony has invested too much money into this. I think it comes out, and I think it's free to play.
So why invest any more if you've already invested so much and it's been a failure?
Because
I think it's fair to call the game a failure. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not countering Dex's point to saying the game isn't fun. I'm just saying that the way you look at this game and how it was
financially,
released and
the game's a failure.
well, right now it's a failure, but you also have one, if not two, CEOs making decisions. Herman Hulst does have a good track record with his games. I think Herman Hulst could straighten this out and release this to be, I'm not saying like an overwhelming success, but somewhat of a success. I think Hulst could right the ship on this and release it as a free-to-play game.
You don't think it's better just to cut your losses and move on?
No.
Wait, you don't think if they release this free-to-play, you don't foresee just ridicule all over the place, all over again?
Oh, there's going to be ridicule, but I also think, I mean, you look at a game like, and Yield, I'm sorry, I'm dominating the conversation.
Well, I'm asking you follow-up questions to get your opinion.
You look at Rainbow Six Siege. When that game came out, there was a hell of a lot of hate for that game, and over time, it's gained a cult following. I think Concord, when it does initially launch, there's going to be so many news stories about how bad it is that this game should not come out. And I think as people jump in and actually give it a shot, you're going to get people like Dex who are going to go, this is actually a good game. Word of mouth is going to spread. And as the more and more people play this, it could develop a following. Is it going to be an overwhelming success like Call of Duty or, Overwatch or Marvel Hero Rivals? I don't think so. But I think they could release this as a free-to-play game and at least make back their investment.
You think they could make back all the money it spent by releasing this free-to-play? Like, again, what is the biggest issue with this game, Tricky? What's the biggest thing that makes people not want to play this game? Is it the $40 or is it the gameplay?
I honestly don't know. Me personally, and this is speaking from the outside looking in, because obviously I have no investment in this game because it was first person and it was a 5v5 shooter, which I wasn't interested in. From the outside looking in, I think the problem is that it was a $40 investment going into it. I think they released a battle pass that they would have been fine. I think people initially hated the idea of $40 investment, and then, because to me, I think a $40 investment into a game that doesn't have a battle pass, that's saying to me that not a lot of content is coming in the future. Where a battle pass, you're kind of forced to develop new things to get people to invest that $10 to $15 for the battle pass every month or every 3 months or whatever it is. If you come out with a $40 price tag and say, okay, this is the game, and then everything else is going to be for free, I think a lot of gamers feel like at that point the development studio doesn't have an incentive to keep creating new content, new characters, stuff like that.
You got to remember though, Tricky, when did everyone turn on this game? It wasn't when they announced the $40. It wasn't like people were like, oh yeah, this game looks fun, I'm going to play this, and then they announced $40 into the free play, and then everyone grabbed their pitchforks. People turned on this game right away from the trailer, and they had not announced $40 yet. So I think that
they did. Well, they did announce it during the same thing, but they announced 5v5 first before they announced the price point. But they did announce the price point during that same trailer.
And I think even if they announced free to play, they still would have gotten the same response. That's just my opinion. They still would have gotten the same response. Yield, what do you think? Do you think this game is coming back ever?
So to tell you the truth, I'm kind of on the fence. I can see both ways. If I was a betting man, I'd say no. But I could see it not coming back because, I mean, you've already pulled it, not even a month in. But I do see the argument, and I can't shoot it down, that, Sony's bought this company. They've invested a lot into it. They pulled the plug already instead of just trying to be bullish and we're going to go through with this, that maybe they did pull the plug and all right, let's revamp some things and and will come back. What it comes back, if it comes back, what it comes back as, I'm not even going to speculate. So, but I honestly, I'm on the fence. I can go both ways.
And I mean, really, if you're Jade Raymond and you're Haven right now, and you have fair games coming up, this is seeing what's happened to Concord is not making you feel too great right now. So, but yeah, that was my question. You all go. And Tricky looks like he walked away.
No, he's back. He's putting his earbuds back in, maybe. Okay, now he's got his earbuds back in.
Sorry,
Earbuds
I had
back in.
real quick.
Yeah, we saw that.
All right, Dex has one final question on this, and then we got to move on because time's getting there. I already know your answers, but Dex wants to know, quick question on Concord. Would you guys give this game a go as a free-to-play?
It depends on how it's marketed to me. I mean, if you can market it to me better than what the State of Play trailer did, I'm not going to say no. It's all on how you present it to me, what you're giving to me.
I'm going to say no just because it's first person. Once it was first person, I was out regardless of any other controversy. So, no. If it's first person, I'm not playing it. Alex?
Oh, dude. See, you miss out on some good games. Like Call of the Sea.
I do.
It's first person, but it's got a good story.
If I could legit play them, Yield, I'd give them a shot. The problem is
You get motion sickness.
No.
Control
is a big part of a game with me. If the game could have the best story in the entire world, the best gameplay in the entire world, but if it doesn't control well, I can't play it and I won't play it. First person, just because I can't see my character, I have a big problem with control. And the fact that, like, if I'm in a gunfight and I dodge and I roll off a cliff or I roll off a building and I die, that shit annoys the piss out of me. And that's exactly what happened with Call of Duty.
You can't place yourself where your person is because all you see is the hands.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So it's not a hate on first person shooters. I just physically I can't play them because I can't. I'm focused on the gunfight. I'm not focused on my surroundings, which I know is a big part of first person shooters. But my focus is on I got 6 guys shooting guns at me. Where's my cover? But Alex, your question: would you give it a go if it's free to play?
No, for a few reasons. One, I am not big on competitive shooters. I don't want to play multiplayer shooters. Really, it's not really my bag, and I just end up getting frustrated. And I've never wanted to play Overwatch or really any. I can't even think of the rest of the games now, but there's a ton of them that I just can't even. I don't even want any part of. For me, online multiplayer takes a special kind of game. Rocket League ticks that box, even if it also does have a toxic community. Even if it does have a toxic community, which can be very frustrating. But I essentially have 2 live service games that I play right now, that being Helldivers and Rocket League. And the thought of adding another like a free-to-play game, just seems like more work than fun. So yeah, I mean, it's not anything against Concord. It's just any other game right now you asked me to add that isn't going to overtake the fun that I have in Helldivers or Rocket League. It's a no for me. So 1, I don't want to play another live service game. It's too much. And 2, online shooters just aren't for me.
All right.
And I do want to point out Helldivers, yes, is an online shooter, but it's a cooperative. It's not PvP. It's PvE.
Okay. I am going to skip the next topic in our agenda, which is Rocksteady was hit by layoffs. We will address that at a future time, just in the interest of time, because we're already hitting an hour and a half, and we still got 2 topics and our questions and a Sophie's Trophies to go. So I'm just skipping that. Let's try to get through this next one quickly. Coming from IGN, written by Michael Kripe. It looks like a highly anticipated enemy faction is finally coming to Helldivers 2 soon. A map update that quickly vanished may reveal the much anticipated 3rd faction is coming to Helldivers 2. Quick-eyed divers noticed a purple section of the map appeared before it was erased. This suggests a highly anticipated Illuminate faction may be coming, but nothing has been confirmed by Arrowhead. They even joked how a comms technician got trapped and died in the server room and corrupted electronic equipment as a result of the technician's family has been fined. Who knows if this is more propaganda? Remember when Super Earth Command denied the existence of flying Terminats? Yield, we'll go to you first. What's your thoughts on an enemy faction possibly coming to Helldivers 2?
Well, I mean, it's about time that we get the term or the Illuminates, but Alex and I have both stated that they need to add some stuff to the, some more stuff to the game to make us come back. Why it's fun to play, we've done what we can do in the game, or done what we've wanted to do in the game, and so therefore there's not a lot of coming back. Like you give it a whirl or something, but for me to play long term, you got to add some trophies or something to it. So I mean, it's cool, it's long overdue, but you got to add more than just that.
All right, Alex.
As much as I do like fighting both the Terminids and the Automatons, I do think that a new faction would help a lot. The game has gotten, a little stale when you're not, if you've got something to reach for, like Yield said, you got new objectives or something like that, or you got new ship modules to get, or a new war bond, you got new things to do, you've got a goal to reach for, it does kind of help. But otherwise, you've been fighting the Terminids and the Automatons for now 7 months, and it just kind of feels old. Even if they've added new ones, it's just kind of like you're still fighting a lot of the same enemies that we've been fighting for the longest time. So 200, 300 plus hours. So I think a new faction definitely would help. And they've teased the Illuminates in game. So I do think they are coming. I thought they were coming when we knocked the Automatons off the map the first time, and then they brought the Automatons back, which I thought was a mistake. So I really hope they don't try to bring the Illuminates in when we've got the other two on the board. I think one of the two, the Automatons or the Terminids, need to be knocked off the map, because if they're, with how much the player base has fallen, if they try to put 3 factions on the map, it's going to be a really tough to split our community up to try to protect all fronts. It's just, I think they need to knock one of the two off the map and then bring in the Illuminates. And I think that would bring some needed extra gusto and appeal to the game, because it has gotten a little bit stale. The gameplay is still fun. The gameplay is the same as it's always been, but when you're doing the same thing over and over again for 300 hours, you want something new. And I think the Illuminates could be that, because I do think they're going to continue to put in war bonds and stuff like that. But having a new enemy type, as opposed to the ones we've already fought for so long, would definitely help.
All right. At this time, we are going to throw it across the pond to Sid for this week's Sophie's Trophy.
Hello again, guys. It's Sid with another Sophie's Trophies. Once again, apologies, it's been a while, but hopefully this one will be worth it. Today, guys, I am going to do Doom and Doom 2. Now, these games have been released on practically every electronic device available, but this new selection, is done by Night Dive. And if you own Doom 1 and Doom 2, the previous versions, you will get this selection free. So, if I can speak, I will get straight into the trophies, guys. We have Master of Doom, which is the Platinum. Rip and tear until it is done. Then we have Guns Are for Wusses. Get 25 kills with your fists in a single level. Until it is done, get 100 chainsaw kills. Shoot it until it dies. Finish off a cyber demon with the pistol. So basically use rockets or whatever you need to use for most of the fight on that one, guys, and then just pull out your pistol and shoot it. Then we have Ruby. Get 3 multi-kills with the shotgun. Skeet shooting. Kill 4 enemies in one shot with the super shotgun. Heavenly Joy. Shoot 200 bullets consecutively with the chain gun. Bowling for Gibbs. Give 3 or more enemies with a single rocket explosion. Now, Gib, guys, is parts. So basically just blowing things up into very, very small chunks. Cooking with Plasma. Kill 5 enemies in 5 seconds with the plasma rifle. Overkill. Kill only a single enemy with the BFG 9000 blast. So that's the biggest weapon in the game. You get it near the end of Doom. Or Doom 2, whichever one you play. Timing is everything. Kill 2 enemies with a single barrel explosion. Doormat. Crush a corpse in a door. Overprepared. Finish a level with 2,000 armor and 200% health. And that is 200% armor, not 2,000. Sorry, guys. Indiscriminate Headhunter. Kill one of every enemy. So this means, guys, you will need to play through Doom 1 and 2. Just go through each level. Don't skimp on a level because there are some missable enemies in there. Not so friendly fire. Cause an enemy to kill another enemy. More like a dream. Complete a level on nightmare difficulty. Then we have Hoarder. Finish a level with 100% items picked up. Now, more like a dream, guys. Complete a level on nightmare difficulty. If you want to do that, you can always go into the options and you can get rid of enemies in a level and run through a level on nightmare. The only thing they fear is you. Complete any monster-filled level with 100% kills without getting hurt on ultra violence or higher. The only thing I can say with this one, guys, is practice. It's going to be a bit of a tough one, that. An important looking door. Find a secret area. Then we have alternate dimension. Find a secret level. Clean slate. Kill all monsters in any monster-filled level on Hurt Me Plenty or higher. Then we have Burning Out of Control. Complete any monster-filled level with 100% kills, items, and secrets. And I think I did that on either the first or second level, because they're pretty easy. A man and a half. Get 20 kills using the Berserk power-up in a single level. Untouchable. Complete 8 different levels sequentially under par time without dying on ultra violence or higher. So again, you see a few of these trophies, guys, are just practice. You're best off doing it with Doom 1, I think, the first few levels, because they're the easiest. Kill it with fire. Immolate a total of 30 arachnoid enemies with the incinerator. They're the big spider brain things with robot legs. Screen wipe. Obliterate 50 enemies with a single shot of the Calamity Blade. Reach the end of Doom. And we have reached the end of Sigil, which I think is the bonus levels for Doom. Doom 2, reach the end of Doom 2. Then we have No Rest for the Living, reach the end of No Rest for the Living. Master levels, reach the end of Master levels for Doom 2, so these are some extra levels in there. Evolution, reach the end of TNT Evolution. Plutonia, reach. And then the last trophy is Legacy of Rust. Reach the end of Legacy of Rust. So nothing too difficult with that one, guys. There's going to be a bit of practice involved. I've got 22% of these trophies at the moment. I'm going to go for it, though, because I really like this game, or these games. And considering you get them free and they're upgraded, and there's loads of extra levels that you can do which don't involve trophies, but there's lots to look at. There's your own settings you can put on it. So, yeah, really good, worthwhile collection, guys. So that's it from me. Hope that was okay. I'm just going to say, if you've got the 2 games, get this selection. It's really, really worth it. So I will talk to you again soon, hopefully. And take it easy, guys. Keep getting those trophies. Bye.
All right. It's always good to hear from Sid, even though he's covering a game that just Doom had a bad movie.
It's all right. Mortal Kombat had Mortal Kombat Annihilation as a follow-up film, and it still survived.
That is true. All right, let's throw it to our socials.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right, so Thomas has a question. So the Hateful Losers are going to make Astrobot Game of the Year when it's clearly Wukong Black Myth. I made the joke earlier.
Black Myth Wukong?
I don't know. I mean, I made the joke earlier, but do you think that Astrobot really has a chance to beat out Black Myth?
I don't know. It's still early. I mean, we still got the rest of the year. There could be some other games that drop by the end of the year.
Alex?
I mean,
does it have a
Helldivers is going to
chance?
give it a run.
I mean,
Sorry,
does it have a
go ahead,
chance? I mean,
Alex.
usually there's a Sony game in the mix. When they do. I mean, well, they had Spider-Man 2 last year, so that was in the mix. I mean, Sony usually has a good shot at getting a game in when they've got a strong game, and I'd say that Astrobot is that. I mean, to be fair, Astrobot is one of those games that can appeal to families as well, people that like Mario, stuff like that. So there is a wider appeal there is a pretty wide appeal for Astrobot, and he is a very cutesy character. That said, like I mentioned earlier, Black Myth Wukong has apparently sold over 18 million copies, so that has been extremely successful. So, I mean, you've got some strong contenders. Helldivers 2, like I said, that took everything by storm in the earlier of the year, and that's got to count for something. So, I don't think you can just count everything out, but if you said that, or if you wanted to argue that Black Myth Wukong was the front runner, I couldn't necessarily argue with that. But I do think there are other games, like I do think Helldivers 2 will get consideration. I do think Astrobot will as well.
All right. And Will wants to know, do you believe that the video game industry is in decline? We'll go to Alex first.
No, I was going to say, I've been saying yes all year. So I haven't seen enough yet to make me retract from that.
Okay. Alex?
In decline how? So I would say no. I think that the number of, so you have like a miss like Concord where, again, not going on the quality of the game, but just the financial impact of that and what it means for Sony. And you see a lot of studio closures and a lot of layoffs. Yes, that is very concerning. And there's a lot of money being spent on video games more, probably now than we've ever seen. And so there are concerns, but I do think that the powers that be, the big companies, I mean, Nintendo's doing just fine. They seem to be doing just well. I mean, there's Game Pass. I mean, where I would say PlayStation Plus overall is a great, platform. I am very happy with a lot of the benefits that I've gotten from that. And I'm still playing it. It's not like I'm, playing one game a year and then finding nothing to play for the next 6 months. Even if I'm not buying a big Sony exclusive, I'm still finding stuff to play on the PlayStation Network. Again, dumped nearly 50 hours in the Cult of the Lamb here. So I do think it's okay to be concerned about the state of the industry, but overall, are they in decline? No, it's still an incredibly popular medium, and it's only going to keep rolling on further and further. And, there may be things that people don't like about the video game industry in certain aspects, but overall, the fact that people are still playing games, it's about as strong as ever. So is it in decline? I would say no.
Yeah, I think all the layoffs and everything is just the repercussions of COVID ending.
Partially that, but also probably bad investments.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure, and this isn't a political statement, but I think one of the bad things about COVID is that everybody went to remote work and whatnot, and after working at home for so long and getting comfortable with that, I think a lot of people found it hard to go back into an office. So there was a lot of that happening, and there was money being saved by not having to pay rent, electricity, and stuff like that in the studio. That they probably now they're facing this cost, and I think the layoffs and everything was just a product of coming out of the pandemic.
And when it comes to games, I mean, look at again Black Myth Wukong, 18 million sales. Does that seem like a decline to you? I mean, you have Astrobot. We'll see how well Astrobot sells, but I mean, there's still a lot of games that are selling really, really well. Yes, there are games that aren't selling nearly as well, but you do still have examples that shine and stand out. Helldivers earlier in the year, 12 million copies on a game that kind of came out of nowhere for everybody. Yeah, people knew about the sequel, or the game that came before it, the predecessor, but no one would have guessed that game would have taken off like it did. So you still have this very year some great success stories. People were including Matt, jazzed about Monster Hunter. Yield just joining the Monster Hunter fray, and him and DJ and his brother playing Monster Hunter now on Friday nights. So there's still a lot of reasons to be excited about video games. So decline seems like a knee-jerk reaction to negative things happening in the industry. But I think the industry is strong enough where it will right itself, and we'll all keep playing games.
All right. Let's jump into our topic of the week. This one kind of puzzles me a little bit, but excuse me. Coming from IGN and written by Kat Bailey. Sony says they don't have enough original franchises built from the ground up. Sony Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki doesn't think they have enough franchises that it is fostered from the beginning. Quote, Whether it's for games, films, or anime, we don't have that much IP that we fostered from the beginning, end quote. He said this in an interview with Financial Times, quote, we are lacking the early phase of IP, and that's an issue for us, end quote. The comment is meant to be as a reference to Sony as a whole, not just with their gaming division. With Sony acquiring many studios and developers, they have been able to obtain IPs through purchasing power instead of developing them from the ground up. Meanwhile, the recently successful launch of Astrobot shows Sony still has some tricks up its sleeve when it comes to great IPs. So, Yield, I'll go to you first. Matt in the notes made the point that a lot of Sony's IPs, they purchased. They didn't really develop brand new IPs. Now,
I don't think that's right.
Well, no, they have their own IPs, but a lot of the things you could arguably say Sony purchased rather than they developed them from the ground up.
Okay, so
I wouldn't agree with that.
So
okay. Let's go to you first.
Well, so to go with what you're saying, elaborate more on that. Why you're looking that up so you can elaborate. I understand what he's saying, and I kind of agree with him in that aspect of not just gaming, but Sony as a whole. Off the top of my head, we all remember the great marketing ploy that they did with Crash standing in front of Nintendo HQ. At least that's my favorite Crash Bandicoot commercial. You've got Uncharted, but that's run its course. God of War is still pretty relevant, but other than kind of Astrobot coming up, what is there now? And that's kind of a question to everybody. What is there of an original IP that they've developed?
I think his comments are more relatable to this generation of consoles because their best development studio this generation has been Insomniac, and they're working with Marvel games. There's Spider-Man, Wolverine. They did have a Ratchet and Clank, which was an original IP, but that was one that Insomniac was independent when they created that. So Sony ended up inheriting that when they bought Insomniac. So I think this, again, I think that the focus on, again, live service and all that and what they've had to do to basically shut down games, pull games, cancel games, whether it be The Last of Us, Concord, or the games we'll never hear about, has really stifled a lot of their development power this cycle. Chasing that, that golden whatever, that golden goose that they feel live service has been, has really hurt Sony a lot. But you got to remember, Sony bought Naughty Dog a long, long time ago, which means Jack and Daxter, Uncharted, The Last of Us were all fostered underneath Sony Computer Entertainment. They didn't buy those; those were all made while Naughty Dog was part of Sony. Sony bought Guerrilla a while ago. Horizon was completely made under Sony. Team Asobi was made. Astrobot's their thing. You look at Team Ico. Team Ico is no longer a thing, but Ico, Shadow of the Colossus. Sony has created a lot of IPs. I don't know if David Jaffe was part of Sony when he conceived Twisted Metal, but you certainly look at things like War of the Monsters and God of War and all these different things. There's a lot of games Sony created. Housemarque made Returnal, although I guess they started making Returnal before Sony bought them. So, but yeah, Sony has purchased some developers that were working on IP that then became Sony IP. But Sony has also fostered this culture where a lot of the companies that they have bought have gone on to make a lot of great games. So, Sucker Punch was not part of Sony when they made Sly Cooper. Sony inherited, but there still are a lot of examples of Sony of games that were developed and created inside of Sony after those studios were purchased. So,
okay, I just want to cut you off for 1 second. Because you brought up a lot of these, so I just want to have a better list for you. According to Reddit, it says new list of IPs by Sony Interactive Entertainment since 2013: Bloodborne, The Order 1886, Death Stranding, Blood and Truth, Astro's Playroom, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, Returnal, The Last of Us, The Last Guardian, Concrete Genie, Dreams, Riggs, Drive Club, Tearaway Unfolded, Knack, and Horizon Forbidden West.
Well, you have to include Horizon Zero Dawn in that as well, but Horizon as a whole, as a series. Again, but like Bloodborne was a From Software game that they published, yes, but would that be counted as a Sony IP? You would count that under From Software.
But they purchased into From Software before.
Yeah,
Bloodborne
they own a stake in From Software, but that was after Bloodborne. Bloodborne came out before they did that.
I will double check that.
But yeah, I mean, like, regardless, there's a lot of IP that have been fostered within Sony after they bought these development teams. So it's not just them buying games. Yes, they've inherited some studio or some franchises because they bought the studio, but there's also been a lot of games that these studios created after they were purchased by Sony. So
yeah, you are correct. They purchased a 1.93 stake in From Software after Bloodborne was out.
Yeah. So and Heavenly Sword, they own the publishing rights to that, but that was created by the Hellblade team, Ninja Theory. So I don't know that I would count that as. I mean, Lair was Factor 5, but Sony published it, so I don't know if you would count that as, if it's developed by another studio outside of Sony and Sony's just publishing, I would not count that as a Sony IP, even if they own it, because the genesis of that was within another studio. But I do think that his comments, I think, are more applicable again to this current generation, because I think there is a lack of new IP from Sony. I mean, they're going all out on Horizon. Well,
Did you mention Helldivers?
Well, Helldivers isn't. Helldivers.
Arrowhead did that, and
but Helldivers has always been a Sony IP.
But again, Arrowhead's not part of Sony, so if a developer outside of Sony makes it, I don't count that.
Even though Sony owns the IP.
Because then you could say Stellar Blade. Sony didn't make that. Right?
No.
Or Forspoken. That was a Square Enix joint. And Sony it was exclusive to Sony.
Well, so okay. I get what you're saying. I'm not trying to cut you off here. I apologize for cutting you off. I get what you're saying, that if it's a third-party studio that's just being published under Sony. But if Sony owns that IP and they were there when that franchise started, I think arguably you could say Sony has been with that IP from the beginning.
Well, Sony could technically, I mean, if they wanted to make a movie or TV series about Heavenly Sword, they could, because they own the IP. So, I mean, even if you talked about the Uncharted series being dead, I mean, aren't they planning to make a second movie?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yes.
That franchise, even if they're not making games on it regularly, they can still use that in other media. But yeah, I mean, like Horizon now has a second game. We expect a third game. The TV series got canceled, but they had the VR game as well. So I mean, they're putting a lot into Horizon. But you think about how it seems like every generation the Sony studios Sucker Punch.
TV show got canceled,
didn't it?
I didn't see that. I mean,
something Sony got canceled. I can't remember what it was. Look that up, Tricky. I know they're doing a second season of Twisted Metal because Samoa Joe's off shooting that. But it seems like, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, and Insomniac, every generation rolled over, they would have a new IP. And that you don't really see that now because Naughty Dog's still working on The Last of Us, which originally came out in 2013, I think. Sucker Punch, Sucker Punch is doing, we would assume, Ghost of Tsushima 2, which is a new IP or a newer IP. Insomniac working mostly with the Marvel stuff and doing Ratchet & Clank. So, I mean, again, I think that he has a point when it comes to this generation, but overall Sony, I think, has been better than either Nintendo or Microsoft at creating new IP. I mean, Microsoft is the worst example of buying exclusives, because they just have bought up a whole bunch of studios in recent years. And then Nintendo, they rely a lot on Mario and The Legend of Zelda. They have created some new IP like Splatoon and ARMS to varying degrees of success, because Splatoon has been very successful, ARMS not so much. But I would say Sony's better at creating new IP than either of their competitors, and is much better, and Microsoft is much worse about buying games and IPs than they are.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a question about whether or not Horizon's actually been canceled. It says it was put on hold because Steve Blackman, who was part of Umbrella Academy, he has some controversy, and he was the head of both the Umbrella Academy and the Horizon series. So with him leaving both those projects, they've been put on hold, but nothing's officially saying it's been canceled.
Well, the final season of Umbrella Academy is the one that's on right now, so they're not doing any more, regardless of what he's got going on. But
all right, Yield. I know I know I asked you already, but you want to weigh in on the outside third-party studios with IPs and stuff like that?
I kind of agree with Alex. I really don't count those. It would have to be a Sony owned. And I agree, and I do agree with what Alex was saying, is that it does seem like it's more, I guess I should have elaborated too, that it's more this generation that we haven't seen, that new IP that will push into the PlayStation 6 or farther. We haven't seen, another Ratchet and Clank. Now we know that, they're Insomniac's busy, but yeah, there's not that new or a couple of new IPs that we're going to push forward. They had Days Gone, decided they didn't want to do a Days Gone 2.
I think that would be a good TV show.
I think it'd be a good sequel.
That too, but Dex says the lethal weapon Steve Blackman. No, not that Steve Blackman.
And so, what else? I mean, Astrobot could be that new character. But like we were saying earlier, if they don't wait 8 years to put out another game.
I think they have enough IPs, but I think this generation and kind of last generation, they've really been focusing on sequels rather than developing new games. I mean, the rumor right now is Naughty Dog is developing a brand new IP. But, they're also, it's also rumored that they're working on The Last of Us Part 3, so who the hell knows?
Well, you also got to figure Blue Point's working on something.
Blue Point's working on something. Sony Ben's working on something. And just to be clear, like I said when I was saying the topic, this isn't just their game division. They're talking about, like, animes, TV shows, movies. They don't own enough of those IPs. And I think, arguably, we could say that, like, we're tired of seeing video games being made into TV shows and movies.
Well, and we've said for years that Hollywood's out of ideas. I mean, how many cool, interesting new movies do you see come out of Hollywood? They're now into reviving old series or doing a sequel to a movie 20 years later.
Okay.
You don't get those out of, I won't necessarily say out of left field, but you don't get those movies that pop up that everybody's like, oh, you don't get a Fifth Element that rolls in and everybody's like, holy cow, or a Matrix that no one saw it coming. You don't get that anymore.
All right, can I press a soft button on you, Yield, for a second?
Maybe.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm scared.
Okay.
Humans are very squishy by nature, Tricky. Careful with the button press.
Okay, maybe that wasn't the right terminology, but a hot button topic I can say with you, Yield. How about that?
All right.
Now, granted, it is not a new IP, but you're talking about how Hollywood doesn't really have a whole lot of ideas, yet Disney is trying, for the most part, to develop new Star Wars series. And a lot of them are getting hate. So you're taking the shows like The Acolyte and Andor, Ahsoka. They are developing new shows with an existing IP. Now, granted, it is not the traditional IP because it's all falling under Star Wars, but they are developing new series and they get crucified.
Well, unfortunately,
and I'm not talking about Disney. And I'm sorry to cut you off real quick. I'm not talking about Disney in itself. I'm talking about anytime somebody tries to make a spin-off, it gets crucified.
Well, okay. So you're never going to make Star Wars fans happy. I haven't watched The Acolyte yet. I've heard that the writing was bad, and I've heard some people say that it was good. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that until I see it. A lot of things with Disney now is everybody's just mad at them because they think they're going woke, and a lot of the things that they do, people are upset with them politically and some of the decisions that they've made, and so therefore that affects, what they're producing. But you're still staying in the Star Wars universe, and what I was meaning as we're not coming up with like I said, like The Matrix was a story that I don't think anybody saw coming, and those are the type of new IPs that I think that we're missing, is just original stories, not a retelling of an older movie or a retelling of a movie that was 10 years old. Just something new. Tricky's putting his headset back on.
Where's he going?
I think Harley.
Is he going to check a boiling pot of pasta or something like that?
No. One of my neighbors nicely knocked on my door because I apparently left my Kindle outside, and they just returned it.
Well, that was nice of them.
Yes. I'm noticing a knocking. I thought it was Harley, and I was like, no, there's somebody knocking on my door. Neptune Princess in the chat says no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
You're right. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't care for the sequel or the prequels when they launched, except for bits and pieces. After I rewatched them with my niece to introduce her to them, I was like, I gave this series too much shit. It's actually really good. Sequel trilogy, I'm still not warmed up to it yet. So,
give it about 10, 15 years.
Maybe I will. The Mandalorian series, I liked it. I liked what I saw of Ahsoka. I enjoyed Obi-Wan. It pokes a little too many holes in the timeline, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Could have been better. And like I said, I'll wait to see Acolyte. I'll wait till I reserve judgment until I've seen it. And I'm excited for Skeleton Crew.
All right, let's land the ship. How about that, gentlemen? We just hit over the 2-hour mark.
That's good.
Tricky wants to land this ship so he can go fly around the galaxy and do some smuggling.
No, Tricky wants to land the ship so he can go play some Astrobot. Oh, you know what? Can I ask a question before we actually close the show? Because I found myself thinking this week, and I can't be the only one.
All right.
I'm enjoying the shit out of Astrobot.
Okay.
But I'm worried that I'm going to finish it too soon and then not be able to play it anymore. Have you guys ever played a game that was so good that you wanted to put it down to stretch it out, but it was so good that you couldn't put it down?
Yeah. I can't recall a game off the top of my head, but yes, I have done that before, where you've burned through a game because you absolutely enjoyed it. You got all the trophies, you platinumed it, and then it was like, damn, I'm done. Now what? But that to me tells the testament of how good that game was, or what nerve they hit with you that you couldn't put it down. That it was that it captivated you that much, that you weren't juggling, a couple of games at a time, because it was that good. I had to keep playing it.
See, I didn't have this problem with The Division because there's always something to do with The Division.
Well, it's kind of a live service game, so yeah.
Right. Astrobot, I feel like if I finish this, which I'm absolutely enjoying it, and I want to keep playing it, but I feel like I'm not that I'm losing money, but feel like I wasted my money because I spent $60 on this game, and I've only been able to play it for 4 days.
How many hours have you put into it?
I could look it up. I'm not exactly sure.
Because depending on how many hours, see, I kind of look at that in a couple fold way. You only had it for 4 days, but if you've dumped a lot of hours into it, then you could maybe say that you've gotten your money's worth out of it that way. But if you've enjoyed it that much, I mean, yeah, it's a bummer that you beat it so quick and that you wish the story was longer. But if you've enjoyed it that much, I would still argue that you've got your money's worth out of it.
According to PlayStation, my PS5, I've played it for 27 hours so far.
So you've almost gotten $2 an hour out of it.
And it says I'm only 51% through it.
So I would say you've gotten your money's worth out of it so far.
Alex, do you have that problem?
It seems like you're making a mountain out of a molehill, Tricky, because it seems like you're getting plenty out of this game. No, I mean, there are games that I wish were longer or had more content to them. Like Cult of the Lamb, like I love the gameplay still. I'm still having fun with it, but the fact that they're making me refight all the same bosses again is annoying. That's the only kind of killer when it comes to that. If they introduce new bosses, I would, it'd be fantastic. But any game that I was worried about finishing it or like remorseful that I finished it, no, not really. I didn't regret the fact that I finished it too fast. I mean, I wish that the Order 1886 was longer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I wish there would have been a sequel to it.
Well, Sony can do it. They own the IP. Unfortunately, Ready at Dawn is no longer a thing, but they can find somebody to do it. But
maybe that's what Blue Point's doing.
Huh?
Maybe that's what Blue Point's doing.
I thought they were working on something new.
I was making a joke.
Yeah. Well, they're the ones who remade Shadow of the Colossus for PS4, so they do a really good job on that kind of stuff.
It's already reported they're making a brand new IP.
Well, good. They should. They're super talented. But yeah, no, I mean games. I wish they were longer, but nothing that I was like sorrowful because I finished it because it wasn't a specific length. In general, when it comes to making games, developers, they kind of know what they want to hit, and they get in, they get out, and they tell the story they want. And for the most part, I think it's, I think it feels right. There are some things where it's like, okay, this went on a little bit too long. Maybe I wish this would have been longer. But I think that developers know what they want to get out of a game. They know the story they want to tell, and I generally don't really disagree one way or the other in an extreme way with what they're doing. So
all right, Dex says, I'm sorry, I laughed because Dex made 2 comments. So the second one made me laugh. He said this happened with him with Saints Row the Third. He finished it too fast and wished he could have been playing more. Neptune Princess chimed in saying, I don't always play games all the way through and stay with them continuously.
That's true.
But I played Stray start to finish in 2 days, and I would pay money to delete it from my brain just to be able to play it again for the first time.
I will tell you, because Neptune Princess, Ashley, I will tell you the more than games, reading books, finishing books that she can't reread again, or watching a TV series she can't reread again, that's, I think, what affects Ashley more than a game. But Stray is an example of a game she really enjoyed and played from start to finish. And
then Dex's last comment was Firewalk's the next game. All right, I'm doing it when I found that funny. All right,
I just at this point I don't even know what to say. I know Dex enjoyed the game, so it sucks that Dex can't play it anymore. But yeah, I don't even.
What sucks is that he had to drive, I think he said 70 kilometers to return the game.
Oh, that sucks.
That double financial ow.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that you lost money on the Concord deal because he bought it physically. So he drove 70 kilometers. I don't know if that's one way or round trip. I'm assuming it's round trip. But he went out and bought it. And then like 2 days later, they announced they were shutting it down. And it was like, he's got to drive back to that store now to get his money.
I don't know. I think at that point, I'd almost just keep it. Just to be like nope.
I don't even know how many miles is 70 kilometers.
Math is not my thing, dude.
Yeah, conversions, forget that. That's what the internet's for, man.
Hold on. I'm going to look it up right now. 70 kilometers is 43 miles.
Yeah, I think I'd have kept it.
Oh, it was 70 kilometers one way.
Yeah, I'd have kept it.
Well, shit, I would have made sure I got lunch or something while I was out, or made it worth my while. Spend some money to get some food.
I'd have made it a day.
Get some food in my tummy.
I don't know how many kilometers per gallon he gets down there, but that's like 2 gallons of fuel just to get there, and actually 4 round trip, and that's expensive.
Hey, it probably cost him less in gas though than it does sitting in New York City traffic for a block and idling for like 2 hours.
Have you ever been to New York City?
Yeah.
Where'd you go in the city?
The city?
Where in the city did you?
I don't remember. I was in the city.
Did you go to Times Square?
I don't know. Probably.
That's the problem. Neptune Princess is narked on you. She says you've never been to NYC.
That's bullshit. My dad took me on a trip. We went to Washington, D.C., New York City, and Boston.
I don't know. You're being narked on in the chat here.
She ain't been around long enough to know, and she's been around a while.
How long you been together now? 10 years?
No, not that long.
She says, nah, I don't think so.
Not as long as you and Tina.
Government names.
Yeah.
And me and the guys are over 11 years now. All right, let's.
That's about as long as I've been in my job, Tricky.
Rookies.
What are you guys gonna do when I retire in 2 years?
What do you mean? You're gonna do everything for the podcast.
We'll probably silence you because you'll be driving us up the freaking wall.
In 2 years, I get to retire from my job.
And Matt and I get to retire from podcast editing because Tricky's going to do it all.
Negative.
What do you mean negative? You're not going to have a job.
Okay. I don't want to delay this anymore. But I'm actually thinking, and I'm gonna end the show on this, and then you guys can make your quick comments and then leave it alone. I'm actually thinking about when I retire from my job, becoming an over-the-road trucker.
Oh, don't do that.
Why not?
Why would you retire to get another career?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Because.
So when are you gonna see Sweet Mama?
Well, okay, hold on. Let's get into this real quick because I had some thought into this. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna be 44 at the end of this month, so I can retire when I'm 46 years old. I still have a lot of life to live. Okay. When I retire,
famous last words. I hope not, but famous last words.
When I retire, Sweet Mama is gonna be off to college. She's not going to be home. And she's already said that she wants to live in the dorms. She does not want to live at home. So.
Wait, in 2 years, she'll still be in high school, though.
Oh. She's a junior now.
Oh, well, shit.
Yeah. We're getting old, Alex. We're getting old. So she'll be gone.
You're getting old.
She'll be gone. And I still have 20 years before I can even collect Social Security? I got to do something.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to do something, but I don't know. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd over the road it.
Well, because of my job, I got a free Class A license.
But then you got to maintain it on your own. Are you going to be in business for yourself, or are you going to work for somebody?
Well, okay, I haven't put that much thought into it. I would love to be an owner-operator, but I don't have a problem working for somebody else.
Well, if you're an owner-operator, then you also got to figure in now you got to take care of your own rig and your trailer.
Fuck you, Dex. I'm just saying that. Fuck you right now. Dex in the chat says, move down to Australia and be the spider wrangler.
Dex, do you guys have wolf spiders down there?
Yes, they do.
Dude, they got spiders that aren't necessarily
classified yet.
Like they're not poisonous, but they're as big as a cat.
They got prehistoric spiders down there. They got Tyrannosaurus spiders.
Yeah, no.
Dex
Tricky, hold on.
Dex says, sure do, man. And then just catch up with the chat. Neptune Princess says, don't. It's very hard on your body. DOT is so strict. And then she says, you have a lot of life to live, so do not waste it sitting in a truck with all that exposure to chemicals and wear on your body. And Dex says, yeah, Huntsman's is what Yield is on about.
Yeah. I've seen those online. Dumb things. All
right. Close out the show.
If you could make it financially work, why not just get another hobby? Play games and get another hobby and just.
You know what?
You're going to move down to Virginia, right?
Actually, you know what? Yes, I am. But I may not now because Neptune Princess has brought up something I should do to help the culture. She says move to Louisville and open a pizza shop. Apparently, we're lacking in good pizza.
First of all, I know she doesn't believe that because she enjoys some of the restaurants we go to down here, and yeah. But if you want to move down to Louisville and open up a pizza shop, you can certainly do that. Give people another option.
Oh, fuck you, Dex. You know, you're really pissing me off. He says, yeah, he should make Detroit pizza.
Or Chicago.
Listen, we're closing the show out, but I'm just going to say, if you have to say a word before pizza, it's no longer pizza. If you have to say it's Detroit style or Chicago style, it's no longer pizza. Close out the show.
That would eliminate New York pizza. Anyway.
No. Because
so my shout outs are thanks.
We don't call it New York pizza. We just call it pizza.
Well, we don't call Louisville pizza. It's Louisville style pizza. Louisville style here. We just call it pizza. Of course, you don't call the pizza that you live with New York pizza.
Yeah.
People in Chicago just order pizza.
All right, shut up, Alex. Try to land this plane. Yield your shout outs.
Shout out for everybody hated out in chat, especially Dex for trolling Tricky. Shout out to Nitro and the Brain 76 for some Rocket League. Shout out to Homer and Prepared Dieter Scum for some Monster Hunter. Alex was in there for some Rocket League as well. Shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the Whoredom. Thank you for listening, downloading, hanging out with us, doing what you do to make our community awesome. Shout out to Gareth for not just his community event that he does, but all the other little stuff he does. He sent me I should probably post it in the Facebook group, but he sent me another game idea to play called, what was it? Delivery at All Costs. Look it up. I posted it in our chat. I didn't post it in the group.
Oh,
like the Facebook group.
My apologies.
But check it out. That game looks like stupid fun whenever it launches. But yeah, just shout out to everybody. You're all really awesome in what you do, whether you agree with us, disagree with us, like what we do, whatever. You guys are cool. You know, we've got a really cool group of individuals who love gaming, who will not just voice their opinion on, just their opinion, but they come at it with, like it was talked about with Concord about well, I've played it and this is what I think, not just, oh, it's stupid, and we leave it at that. We've got a group that gives it thought, and people are allowed to mess with each other in a fun way, but also, have fun debates.
Well, unless you say that you like any pizza that's not from New York, and then everyone hates you, and then Tricky hates you and tells you pizza is stupid.
Pizza's the best.
It's just a fact. New York pizza is the best. You didn't.
Did you mean sewage?
Whoa!
It gives it that tangy taste in the sauce.
The amount of hate that's coming out of you guys. I'm being a little distracted right now because this is gonna be a worrisome 2 weeks for me because I let the goddess take my truck back to where she lives because her car's been acting up, and I told her she has to send me daily pictures of my truck to, make sure my baby's okay.
Well, I mean,
proof of life.
Yes.
Wait, hold on.
You didn't wreck it. That's good.
How are you getting around then?
I have her car.
Okay, so you're taking the car that's giving trouble, and then she's taking your truck.
Well, because she has more of a commute than I do, and I have access to public transportation where she doesn't.
So you don't have to drive as far if you don't need to.
Correct.
I got you. Well, aren't you just the nice guy?
Yeah, but she, well, Yield, you know this. A man in this truck, like.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, no. I totally agree. I still miss my truck to this day. So don't. Yeah, I get you.
What I think happened is I think the goddess just gave him some purple nurples and just made him agree to let her have it.
Give me the keys. I'm not letting go.
In the second picture, this is not for the listeners, but in the second picture, you can see how interested my dog is in the truck. Alex, your shout outs.
Oh, I still have to do shout outs. to give a shout out to the Fuel to the Fire, the Trophy Horrors, our awesome community. Thank you all for continuing to push the show forward. And again, for anyone who enjoyed Concord is not going to have a chance to play anymore, or for anyone who had to drive 140 kilometers round trip to return it, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Hopefully, it's for that community. I hope it comes back. I don't always have the best optimism when it comes to large amounts of money in Sony. Shout out to my co-host Tricky and Yield, as well as Matt, who did not join us tonight. But thank you again, Matt, for doing the Cliff's Notes. Shout out to Will, who does our screenshots for our images for the podcast.
Thumbnails.
And last minute, thumbnails. What pictures? The only picture that is associated with our podcast.
No, that's not true. We have a logo.
Okay, well,
get it right, Mr. Englishman.
Okay, well, also,
Mr. I suck at math, but I excel at English. Who can't speak English?
First of all, Tricky, let's not even get started on how many names you stumble over. But
that's different.
What about the banner picture? Isn't that at the top of the post in the show? Isn't that the banner picture on provengamer.com?
No.
There's a banner picture and then the thumbnail.
No, it's just the thumbnail.
The small square with the thumbnail. Then there's the banner picture.
They're both thumbnails. Do your damn shout outs.
Well, I was trying to shout out to Will. Will, thanks for the work you do. And last but not least, give a shout out to Anna. I mean, it's belated at this point. I told her happy birthday on her birthday, but happy birthday to Ashley. I love you, hun. Glad we could see Beetlejuice together. And yeah, that's the end of my shout outs.
I was going to give Ashley a shout out too, because she responded saying that you were a good boyfriend for her birthday.
Did you shout out to her? Did you give her on Friday?
Yes, on her birthday I did. And then she replied to the post. She says, "Thanks, Mike. I did. Alex did good work with my birthday activities. Beetlejuice movie, special edition popcorn tin, and Legos. What more could a girl want?"
Smoothies.
And I could have answered that question, but I didn't want to piss off Alex.
I'm giving you a chance to sit here and answer it, Tricky.
You want me to say what else she wanted?
If you got the balls to say it.
An engagement ring. Make an honest woman out of her.
Tricky.
I gave you it out. I said, do you really want me to say it?
Tricky, a man who is not married to his spouse and you've been together for 11 years can certainly not say anything to me.
We are at least engaged.
How long now?
It's been a while.
Yeah, can't say anything to me.
Tricky's been engaged longer than I've been married.
That's probably true. How long have you been married?
That's not true.
No. I at least got that. Well, no, I didn't even get that on one knee. I just kind of tossed it to her.
That's real great. Just toss at her and be like, "Hey, you want to get married?"
I've been married longer than you've been together. So
I literally, the way I proposed, Yield, is we were sitting on the couch next to each other. And I opened up the ring box and I showed it to her. And I said, "Do you want it?" She said, "Yeah." And I just tossed it to her.
No one who proposes like that should ever give anyone shit about engagements.
Well, I can't give you shit about a bad engagement because you're not engaged.
Fair enough.
That reminds me of the old joke. A father walks in his daughter's room and catches them having sex, and he flips out and she turns to her father and goes, "Don't worry, Dad, it's okay. We're engaged." And he goes, "Yeah, engaged in what?" Anyway, you gave you shout outs. Make an honest woman out of that lady. Shout out to the goddess who has my truck. Hopefully she's taking care of it. And, is actually my fiance. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who started school. Shout out to everybody in the chat. A big fuck you, not even a twerp you, a big fuck you to Dex for all his comments and hate and whatnot.
Dex, keep up the good work.
Yeah. Doing the man's work.
Neptune Princess, I got your back. She says romance is not dead. I agree. Dex also said oddly weird shout out. I guess from Alex. Shout out to everybody. And until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Zone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.